Hello Tubesters, take 2, I'm sure there's going to be a take 3. It's Gav, welcome to another one of my videos. Today we are looking at some painted 28mm Empress Miniatures metal United States Marine Corps for the Battle of Hue, 1968, the Vietnam War. As I've said to you guys before, it's a period history I'm interested in, and when I saw these figures I just fell in love with them. Not that I'll be keeping them, I'll be trying to sell them, but I just don't have the space, and I need to turn over figures, which then I get to paint other figures. Absolute fantastic sculpts. You know, I'm just bowled over with them. I love them. I've seen some of them. I bought. I'm going to show you first. Right. Let's go through what we got. What's going to happen in the video? I even forgot the word what I was going to use. First of all, we'll be looking at some new Empress miniature Vietnam figures that I've bought. Still United States Marine Corps. Then we will look at the figures. Then we will look at. A kind commentator asked me for what greens I used for the uniforms, and we'll have a look at those. And then I will just add the few figures that I've already painted to the rest of the figures, and we'll see them en masse. All, oh my god, I don't know, probably about 14 or 15. But yeah, fantastic figures. Paul Hicks, I believe, sculpted every one of them, and a lot of them have been taken from photographic evidence, if you want to call it that way, and just beautiful. They're fresh moulds, so there's, you know, the moulds aren't worn out or anything. They're really crisp. You will have to obviously do a couple of seam lines, mould lines, but seam lines, is that more modelling? I don't know, but so let's call them mould lines. Let's not confuse the issue, Gav. But mould lines, yeah, just basic mould lines, which you know you're going to get from any casting, but nothing more than that. They do obviously character poses as well from Full Metal Jacket. I might do that. You know, I've only got to say, I like history, and I find watching films that purport to be historical, you just end up button counting through the whole thing, rivet counting, whatever you want to call it. And things like Full Metal Jacket and that, I've watched it once. I like most of the Vietnam films if I don't go to the cinema or anything to watch them, but you know, I've seen them, but they don't really float my boat. You know, I'd much prefer to read a history book. I'm not even that keen on documentaries, because let's face it, now all we get is a bunch of blooming reenactors pretending to be what they're not. You know, and it's just like you get a load of. It's more on watching these doing whatever they're doing than just giving us some decent historical context. So yeah, I don't really watch those either. Historical books for me. Anyway, I'm already making this video longer than it should be. So yeah, big thumbs up to Empress Miniatures for this. I've got no tie-ins with Empress Miniatures or anybody else mentioned in this video. I bought them all. I just really are, you know, cracking service from the guys there, and what I like about them as I suppose a company business, they've got their own products. They're also an umbrella business for some of the smaller guys, you know, cottage industries, I'd say, you know, but they obviously only take on those that match their own standards. I'd say it's generally not I'm not doing an advert for them, but you get some businesses that are that say, yeah, we're company, company focused, but people focused, and it's for you and all the rest of it, and it's fairly lousy. And as well, now as we're forced on more and more to the internet, you can't ever, and I'm not all about COVID, you know, before that, you know, very little places now you can actually go and physically look at what you're buying, and unless you're going to go to shows and things like that, and even then, you know, they're not always a lot of them. So you have to rely on the business that you're buying from, that they're going to give you a decent service and a decent product without you having to spend money, and either find they give you lousy of both or one or the other. So big thumbs up to those guys. I really rate them. Right, let's go down to the bench and have a look. Right guys, as before, I've got 3 lights, well 4 lights with the one in the ceiling on the go, plus daylight. So these are going to obviously be quite shiny. I prefer for you to look at them before I've put a file or anything on them. This is, I can't give you pack numbers, it's not hard to go and find them on Empress, but these are the corpsmen. So if you don't know, the Marine Corps, I don't know if I presume it still does the same thing because it's part of the Department of the Navy, I believe. I've got to be careful because I don't really know all the ins and outs on that side of it, but it is, I believe, just like our own Royal Marines. I believe that all their corpsmen are from the Navy, so they're medics. And here we have a corpsman supporting a wounded grunt. He's got his torn clothes, that bit there is torn, not a hole. Flat jackets again in evidence. Corpsman's bag with his medic bits in. Pistol for defending the wounded, not so much just himself, but most medics, you know, in most countries carry a sidearm to defend the wounded. Because as we all know, in some wars or battles, wounded aren't spared any more than the fighting combatants. Yeah, absolutely. I really like that. As you can see his flat jacket, or both flat jackets there. Marines up on the DMZ would could, well, I presume you know, most of the army units, whatever, in the field in the rest of Vietnam, you know, they'd often carry like 5 bottles of water. But yeah, really nice. I was waiting for them to bring some corpsmen out. This pack has, you could say, I suppose 4, 3, 4. We'll look at them as they go. This guy's running over. He's got his glasses on. And he has got a lot of canteens there. But as I say, I like you guys to see him what I call in the raw. You can see, just occasionally see a mould line and whatever. He's got his entrenching tool, small pack. We've got different with the shiny lights on. I can't really make it out really, but probably first field dressings. T-shirt, really nice. They've just got bags of character to them. Even if you're not heavily into the period, they make excellent figures just to paint out the character, you know, paint up the character in them. Now this is a 2-piece single. We have our casualty. Let's have a look at him first. And the guy's obviously going to, while they're looking at putting an IV drip into him. And then you can see, if you're wondering what the arm there is, obviously he will somehow, I'm obviously not doing this on the flat here, so I'm making the stuff up of this, but something like that. Always putting water into him. I could be actually putting water into him, couldn't they? But anyway, there's our corpsman. Again, good treads on the boots. All the little things are taken care of, you know what I mean? It's you know, we've got our US markings on the holster. You know, they're all just, the attention to detail is just fantastic. I really rate them. As I say, I wouldn't be painting if they were rough. If, you know, if I'm buying them myself, I want them to. And I've got, just like the rest of us, I've got bunches of figures that I've bought and then think, what the heck are these? You know, they're rubbish, and I just don't go any farther with them. I must have a clear out at some stage. Now, I've painted some of these figures before. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm really not sure what I've painted, what I haven't anymore, but I thought I'll just quickly show them. I just bought 2 packets of M16s because I am going to be selling these, as I say, and I just thought, Gav, it's all right buying all the nice Gucci bits like the corpsman and the radio ops and that, but you really need the firing poses as well. So I think I've done this pack already. I'm not 100%. I didn't remember doing the lying down figure, but I must have done. It's up to you what skin tones you put on them and that to make out the different races and whatever. So I like to put all the different you know, whether you're African American, Native American, Spanish, Mexican, you know, I'm not from the States, but you know what I mean. It's important. Japanese, Koreans, Chinese, they all put themselves into the field in Vietnam, and I think it's important for me anyway. As I'm replicating little figures, it's important for me to replicate as much as I can all the guys that were there. They all served. This is a nice one again with the plastic rain jackets. Apologise if you can hear dogs barking in the background, right on cue. That's not mine, that's somebody else's, and I've got the windows open. Right, let's take 3 or 4, whatever. I've shut the windows as best I can. So here we go, as I say, rain jacket's a bit hard to see, but you'll see it replicated on other figures that I'm about to show you in paint. Respirator, or as you know, civilians call it, a gas mask. They were carried. I'm not sure about army units, but I know the Marine Corps even carried them in the boonies, because of they quite often would put CS gas on areas to try and flush out the MVA or the VC. Obviously, a lot of it was MVA up on the DMZ. That's North Vietnamese Army. Now this guy here, I was going to put it up on my tablet because Empress wouldn't have minded. After all, it's giving them. Oh, hang on a second. Right, guys, I've actually gone onto the website of Empress, and I'll just quickly show a photograph. This guy here, I'll show you a close-up in a minute. I've got both hands full at the moment. He's got like a dolly kid's toy on the back of his headband, and that's it. It's a Western Union promo doll of some description, I take it, and there it is on the back of the guy's headband. So I hope Empress don't mind me using that from their website. It's obviously, I'm showing their products, so I don't think it should be too much of a problem. But I'm just trying to show you the type of historical details that they've gone into. You know, Paul Hicks has seen that and sculpted that on the back. So that should be a nice bit of interest. He's got him, you know, like casually going along. If you could be casual in a way. I was showing this one, I can't remember. Oh yeah, I think that's the one with the waterproof. The guy shouting. Not too encumbered by the look of it with gear. Looks like he's got some bug repellent and packet of smokes in his helmet. And then the last one, again, looks like some bug repellent and a first field dressing maybe, and something else. Yeah, lovely figures. See what I mean? There's so much variety in them. You know, you can't go wrong. It's a bit of a straighten up there, but that's not a problem. Absolutely delightful figures. Right, I'll have a clean up, and when we come back we'll be looking at some painted figures. Right guys, it's not as if I painted a lot, only 8 figures, but that's in between commission work and that's I always do this. Let the camera do the work, Gav. Right, now if any of you haven't seen my Vietnam work, these are for the Battle of Hue. Hue was a city, and it was scruffy. It was obviously big chunks blown up out of it, and that's what I try and replicate here. I absolutely agree that from a gaming point of view, unless you're going to turn a blind eye to all the dirt and the rubble, it's not exactly the DMZ, is it? But you know, I wanted to represent Hue. These are Hue figures I've got a lot of interest in the Battle of Hue, and I say that for just about everything, but I do. So this is an M79 blooper. I've tried to replicate the, it's my pointy stick, it's easier than my grubby fingers. Tried to replicate the different material for the tops, the button down tops of the blooper rounds to the more normal fabric, if you want to put the thinner fabric. It's got some lovely turned up trousers, which a lot of the lads had. Loading obviously a blooper round, or just ejected one. He's got his thumb over it, so I presume he's just slotted one in. Again, I've gone for the lighter style flat jackets. A lot of the flat jackets literally were every colour under the, well, not every colour under the sun, but they get like an oatmeal colour to just the normal greens. What I try and do is mix them up as best I can. I've gone for the, I did tell you what those guys is, the frog print head reversible headliner, not even, the helmet cover is the word I was after. So I've gone for the, I think it's a frog print, that one, and I've tried to mix those up even very slightly with the colours, so some are darker like this one and some are lighter. As I say, we've got bits of concrete which were made of cork. There's a bit of balsa there cut to look like bricks badly, and we've got some spent cartridge cases on the floor, slightly bigger than what they would be really for this scale, but I just thought the ones I did before were a bit undersized. Some just scrap wood that I've painted different colours to just represent, detritus on the battlefield. This guy's got his rain jacket on. I'll come to the colours and stuff at the end of the video. I've just put in some bit of yellow on there just to show some form of writing without going berserk over it. It's got a Thompson. They did still use a lot of Thompsons, grease guns. I think it was literally, you've got a choice really. And I've seen pictures, and I believe Paul Hicks might have actually replicated it, where somebody's taken the butt of the Thompson off to shorten it even more, or unless it was blown off, damaged, whatever, I don't know, but that's a lovely pose. Again, it's just, you know when somebody's top at the game, just replicating things like that. We've got here, this was, you can't look too closely because it's actually hex rod rather than round, but from a distance you can't really see it, just to represent like a pop can or a soup can or any other type of can that's on the floor. A few tufts. I was replicating, I have seen this ground in photographs, it's like a dark brown, tiny bit of red. It's not got the classic red earth that was in, obviously, a lot of parts of the DMZ. I have seen bits of that replicated around way, but the photographs I was seeing, a lot of this almost like waste ground in between different buildings. You'd see a few dingy grass tufts, and obviously bits of detritus that have either been there for 50 years or have been blown there, like this concrete, bits of rubble have been blown up. The bases are 30mm. They come from war bases. Excellent service from war bases. These came, within literally 3 or 4 days of me putting the order in. Again, no connection to them, but shout them out because they do brilliant service. Again, respirators. I've tried to do them. Some are more dingy than others, as people would be. Some have been. Most of these Marines would have been spent a load of time on their belt buckles, trying to keep their heads down from, being sniper fire all out from all around them. So I've tried to replicate this. I don't always. You'll notice on my work, I don't always weather figures up. I do actually quite like clean figures. You'll notice a lot of me Napoleonics. I did do it on those medievals. Because again, I thought it warranted it, and I thought this warranted it as well. And if I was doing any other Vietnam type figures, I would probably weather those up. But I could well do, say, another Napoleonic figure, and it'd be completely clean. It just depends how I think. Literally like the story you want to tell with a figure. He's got his packet of Camels there in his helmet. I even try and change those up a bit, as I've seen in photographs. You know, they didn't all have Marlboros. It's just that the Marlboro is a good, the box there is a good thing to put off. A lot of them were photographed like that, and it is just a splash of colour to show up on the drab figures. I love this pose again. Now I have tried to put I didn't want to put a 2 shout out. It was supposed to be a Marine Corps globe and anchor with the eagle on the top. Obviously I wasn't trying to be too artistic, and I've tried to make it, you know, like faded tattoo. I've probably faded it a bit much really, but it is what it is. Quite often they'd be ones throwing smoke, or the if they were the radio op for a signaller for a, you know, an officer or whatever, like a, you know, I don't know, anybody that needed to pop smoke really, they'd often be a handy way to shove them all on the radio. The antenna, they do give you metal antennas, but they're quite weak. That's not their fault. You're trying to replicate that in scale, and white metal is notoriously obviously weak. This is a plastic paintbrush bristle that I use for when I am doing my Napoleonic sailing ships to do the rigging. I've used some super glue obviously, but I would strongly suggest, instead of having the pain of it keep, you know, creeping, falling over and getting super glue on everything, buy yourself, it's only about 6 or 8 quid, buy yourself, or you can get some for the spray cans, but I prefer the bottles because you can get it out, and that's and I will show that when I do my extra things that you can, my beginner's guide to figure painting, or war games figure painting. It's just some accelerant, some kicker as they call it, to put on your, just put a dab on your super glue, and it will literally a blink of an eye and it goes rock solid. How long that type of thing, yes it will bend, but how long it will last on a gaming, if you're doing these for gaming, I don't know. But it's better than lead wire for going straight up in the air, and I wanted to show a whip antenna straight up in the air, so yeah, that's that guy. Oh, he's got his waterproofs bound up under his radio. Again, I've tried to weather up the knees and stuff. As I said with those French Foreign Legionary figures, it's easier to obviously weather up these darker colours than it is to do like a lighter desert camouflage, because a lot of the time realistically you're only putting dust, and on this scale of figure it doesn't always show up. It's great, it's got its carton of extra ammo. These are socks, as Paul Hicks was kind enough to put a comment down on the very first ones I did and explain, because I didn't know what they were. I had actually seen them, and when he said it I thought, yeah, of course they were socks. So these are socks carrying whatever they wanted to. A lot of the time it was rations, spare cans of food and whatever. M60 gunner. I've dirtied up the bipod, just obviously where it's been stuck and scraped along the dirt, giving this guy slightly lighter tones for African American skin. I do a bit of black lining, as you can see. I don't always black line figures, but on these with lots of cross belts, lots of you know, flak jackets and things like that, I do think it benefits with some black lining. Although I don't use black, I use it happens to be here. I use rubber black. Doesn't matter which paint brand you use, but not straight black. And water that down, and it'll dilute the colours slightly more as well. What else we got? We've got another radio up here. As I say, I just pull them out the bag and paint them when I feel like painting them. There's no structure to anything. Now this is lead wire. It's a lot more solid. Again, what they do is to try and not show off there. I haven't got the actual bend properly there, but you know, it is what it is. That you'd either, I mean, we used to use safety clips, although not that I was a radio operator, but you put a you know, safety pin there, and put your antenna, your whip antenna through it, just to try and not show you. Normally, like in Vietnam, like in most wars, radio operators, officers, NCOs, and machine gunners like the M60 gunner, they're always the prime targets. Knock them out first. So obviously they do their best to to not be centre of attention. And again with here, you just got to sometimes think when you're painting things, not so much think outside the box I suppose, but if you can see here I've done the more oatmeal-y colour for his flak jacket. That's because there's so much green there. He's got, you know, all different types of green. Rather than just have it disappear under his arm there, that'd just disappear if there was a green flak jacket. So do stuff like that, like an oatmeal one. Again, bits of wood cut up as just as, again, busted up bits of whatever painted wood it used to be. This is pie tin, just folded up and then just made a rough. If I was doing it for a scale model, I'd do obviously a lot better job than that. But these are War Games figures. You can see what it's supposed to be. We've got some metal cans that are rusting away there. Again, it's just that hex rod. I just keep one silver end as the base, and then a black end as if it's empty. So that's just styrene rod. But I've done it. I think the ones I did before actually just cut up cocktail stick. You can do that. This is a pose that's been replicated that I showed you in the new ones I've got. These have had a first. The soldiers themselves have had a coat of varnish, but I've got to yet put one more coat over the rest. Done a darker skin tone there. He's got a spare magazine in his helmet band. I've given him. There's a lot of watches on these guys in that, which is nice because a lot of them did have watches, and I've given him one of those leather ones, you know, where you've got the leather cap that goes over the watch to protect it, so that again not everything was looking the same as. And I've got like the one radio op's got like a white metal watch strap, and the others have got leather, and it's little things like that. You just mix them up. I went a bit dark. I put a wash over this, a black. I believe it's that rubber again, that black rubber, but it's I could do with picking some colours up in the brass. No, but it's a bit dark. Again, I've mudded up under there. Painted that wasn't there, but I painted one of those classic Ace of Spades death card. So that was just painted. I just painted that on, put a black line around it. Well, I keep calling it black line, but you know, one of that black rubber line around it just to show that it's just give it a bit of relief. So yeah, that's the ones that I've painted in this last batch. Oh, and that one got a bit of. I collect these bits of evergreen girded. I've got loads of plans to do little vignettes with me, one in 35 scale and one in my Great War figures from Tommy's War and that, which you will be seeing in the coming months. So when I've got a bit of money and I'm making an eBay purchase, I'll often buy bits of these extra styrene rod packs or just singles if somebody's selling them, and just keep putting them in a pile. So I cut a piece of that off just to show a bit of steel girder. Again, I was trying to show that built-up type of environment. Right, guys, that's those. I will get the others out. I'm going to make sure though that I don't. I better put the others in front maybe, because I do need to give these an extra coat of varnish. Right, we'll have a quick tour around. Well, I won't forget because I forgot I'd already taken these off the bottle tops, so I should know which I'm varnishing. Guy kneeling down there's loading a blooper M79. There we go. Really, really nice little project this. If anybody wants any of these figures, £12 a piece, plus postage. I only post insured. But yeah, I'll just keep collecting them for a bit longer, and then I'll put them up on my Facebook if anybody wants to buy them. If I struggle selling them, and I probably will, I'll have to put them up on eBay probably, but the price will be even higher probably for that, just to cover the loss I'll make on eBay taking their chunk out. But yeah, absolutely fantastic figures. They've got some brilliant Arvin, as I say. To just the first ones were a delight to see. They do plenty of others as well. I mean, it's not going to be hard for you to go on the website, but they've got the Law 66. Fired those a few times. They will be a buy at some stage because I haven't done any of those. They've got a 60mm mortar, I believe 80mm mortar. I believe they've got recoilless rifle and crew. They do a mule. They've got M48 tank in resin. I've got to admit, I'm waiting for the Rubicon to bring out their Vietnam range, and they've got an M48 coming out, because then I get the kick of making it. It's a scale model at the same time. It's simplified, but it's still a model. But they've got some beautiful Aussies, Australian, Anzac, New Zealanders in their range as well, Vietnam range. They'll be getting painted. It'll probably take me a couple of years. But yeah, I just love these. Absolutely fantastic. Can't rate them enough. I have actually got a Rubicon model coming tomorrow, and that's going to be a test piece. It's nothing to do with they have actually got an Australian, well, you can use it as an Australian Centurion for Vietnam. I just couldn't get one, otherwise I'd have had that instead. But I've got another one, something else coming, so we'll have a look at that tomorrow, or the next day, or Thursday, Friday. Royal Mail tells me it's being delivered tomorrow, so we'll look forward to that. Right, quickly, as I say, somebody has asked me for the colours I've used, so bear with me and we'll have a look. Right guys, now I've got to say, I don't paint to a recipe. I never write any, well, I very rarely write recipes down. So you'll all, and I do it on purpose, just because I like to have variation in my painting. I'll often mix a lot of colours up, so they just change and vary. It's when people ask me for particular paint recipes, it's really hard to, unless even a Napoleonic. I showed that Napoleonic, I believe, red box or blue box off the other day from Andrea. I don't even follow that as a specific, they even number the bottles, but I don't. It's just how I paint. So I will show you the greens one by one. I'm not going to try and pick particular figures because I wouldn't even know where I put them exactly. What I would say to you is, let's just see if we've got particular figures about this guy's in front. It's more or less the same, but what I try and do, if you've ever served, you will know that the army is notorious of, you may well get a top and bottom, jacket and trousers that are the same, they came from the same batch, but you may not. Or you may have your uniform, and the guy next to you has a completely different time period and a different batch. We used to look like Fred Carno's army when we used to go on Mount Guard. They used to go mad at us because we'd have jackets, all the same British disruptive pattern material, DPM, but all different hues, even some very slight different buttons at different places and things like that. And it would be no different for these guys. If you see pictures of American units in Vietnam, it really, you could tear the bum out your trousers and have to have a fresh pair. So it's never going to match the top pair, which have probably been in the sun for 3-4 months and rotting off your back. So if you want to make it, I wouldn't say a bit special, but if you just if you don't want to make them look too formulaic, you know what I mean? It's so that's how I paint, and that means that my colours are all over the shop. So this is just the paint I use. I cannot even tell you. Well, no, I'm not even going to go down that minefield because I wouldn't be able to pick them out, all these different things. So bronze green, that's good for a dark colours. You could put bronze green on your waterproofs. Olive greys again, that makes, for those, that was waterproof I showed you, that's a good base colour for that. But also for any of these here, I also, once I've put the base coat on, I will then go into the shadows. So where underneath bulging pockets like that, underneath inside the legs, I will use again this trusty rubber black, watered down to a very, you know, a very weak wash. And I don't wash the entire figure, as I say, it's white. I put it in my wet palette, I then wipe it off on my kitchen towel, and then I apply it to the area I want to apply it for. I do not apply this like some of these dip things, you know, where you just slobber the stuff all over the figure. I only put it in selective areas, so that changes the greens in themselves. They'll obviously go darker in those areas. And then I may even reapply, you know, I might even, so I've put that down as a base. I'll put some of this rubber black in areas I want to shade, and then I'll put that again on top. It really, there isn't a particular formula, it's how I feel that figure, you know, should be. These make quite a nice, this is, I've had to write this one because it never came with a thing. This is gunship, yeah, gunship green, even that's coming off now. But that's gunship green. Not as bright as it looks there, it's actually a more, quite a muted green actually. But that gets used for bases on trousers and jackets as well. I highlight them again by sometimes just adding extra brighter greens into this, say, gunship green. I could put this olive green into the gunship green, making more highlights. This is a beautiful colour to work with greens from this time period or any time period. I put these on Napoleonic, and this is Africa Corps, by the way, tank crew from Panzer Aces. I put these on Napoleonics as well. Very good on Napoleon Nassau units. But yeah, as a highlight, a lovely colour, a yellowy green, very nice. And as I say, you've got olive. Olive gets used a lot. Olive green rather than olive drab. Again, I haven't shaken these up, so they're not as bright as they seem. You can go darker. You can use this as well. Olive drab, as you know, is a really dark browny green or purpley green. That can be watered down to a wash and also used in shadow areas if you don't want to use like rubber black or something. But I use these on different canteens, different pouches. Again, if you've served, you know that even your ammo pouches aren't always exactly the same colours. You know, it's just, they will literally give you your pouches, your yoke, which is the straps that the pouches will hang off. All of that will come separately, and you will build your webbing up to fit you. So you could, you know, they will have a box or on the CQMS's stores, he'll have a pile of yokes, and you know, obviously they just get the first off the pile, like, and so it might never even, you know, it's not going to be that far out, but it's not going to match always your pouches and things. So again, just change everything, especially if you're going to weather it on top as well, you know. But yeah, that gets used mainly for showing different definitions in the different pouches and that. Have I got anything else? Yeah, and then we've got brown violet. I don't think I've got Russian uniform out, but Russian uniform's good as well. And that is German uniform grey or whatever it is. All these get used as highlights and for pouches and webbing straps. For very highlight occasionally, I use this again. So half of these I've had that long, they're so faded. Green, grey, I believe that one is. One I've had recently and I've been using for the Legionary camo, this British light mud. Again, I've always say, don't look at it as light mud, just look at it as the colour. That'll be, I haven't used any on these Vietnam figures, but again, for highlights in areas and that might well be used on future ones. Right, guys, that's it. As I say, I'm not trying to be cryptic with the paint. It's just how I do things. Sometimes you can say, like I did with the legionary figures, I've done this, and this, but I couldn't really change those around massively in colour, textures and that. And camouflage is even harder to try and change the hues and that, because on 28mm figures, because you just don't have enough surface area to work with. But yeah, as I say, your camo for your different helmet covers, keep them, some a bit light, some a bit, you can see this has got more, which I believe would probably have been the Africa core, giving it a brighter green. But I've then gone over with something like, as a wash, let's just see, I'm just trying to find something quickly. Could be anything like even this Iraqi sand I just happen to have for the legionaries at the moment. You water that down, so it's a wash, not a glaze so much, but a wash. Take the majority off your brush on a paper towel, wipe it over the helmet quickly, or even have, if you were that, I don't think that far ahead, but have another wet brush, or dip your brush in the water and then wipe it over again over the helmet, and it will give you a quick fix of fading out helmet covers. You can't see it because obviously it's focusing on other stuff, and the lights are on it. But yeah, you'll get those the faded look that they often had. But again, you've got to remember that guys would have been going into field, some of them and not just because they're new guys. Whoever might needed a new helmet cover, it could well be a brand new helmet cover, so it hasn't seen a lot of sun, and that gives you lots of opportunities. Don't see them as just green, figures that you can't do a lot with. You can do so much if you just think ahead and mix up. Do your reference, look at all your reference. There's enough colour photographs obviously taken in Vietnam. And you don't have to even always look at, say, a Marine Corps. Say, if we're talking about helmet covers, you can look at, you're just looking how the sun fades the helmet cover rather than the helmet cover itself. You're looking at the greens. A lot of them were grayer green. Some weren't. Have got more yellowy in them. You name it. It's surprising. What either the dyes themselves or the sun and weather would do. As I say, I know these aren't like 54mm figures. They're not display figures as such, although people obviously collect them just for the cabinet. But it just, rather than just putting your basic coats of paint on them and then one of these strong tones all over them, spend a bit of time on them, and be honest with you, it's not that much more in time than what it would be, doing something I've just mentioned. I'm talking on this guy here. Just looking at his trousers, I can't even remember him individually how long they take, but just looking at those trousers and the jacket. There's probably there's probably about 4 different, just 4 or 5 different highlights and lowlights in their shadow areas, and the rest then is because I'm putting dust and muck and debris on them. The rest of that is obviously that. So that they're not. It's not a huge amount of time to get a nice figure going, So yeah, there we go. Right, guys, as I say, I've got that 1/56 scale, which is, I believe, Rubicon do them for gaming and for display purposes. So I've got that model coming. I'm not going to shout about it you'll obviously see the title. I don't know why I do this, because you see the title when it first comes up. But anyway, I'm going to have a go at building that and. Just to see what they build up like, and then I'll probably try and sell it on. Because I really am looking forward to their Vietnam M48s and obviously M13 with air cav and all that type of stuff. So Yeah, and I'm hoping, I do believe they are doing, I'm hoping they're doing one of gun trucks as well. I've always wanted to do one of those. So yeah, we've got that coming up. I'm actually, I keep saying it, I'm going to do roughly as you see the black card here, I'm going to do a photo backdrop, so base and backdrop of a Hue environment to photograph these figures on. I just haven't got around to it yet. I've got all the materials, I just haven't got around to actually getting it done. So that's that. We've got probably get a reveal of the Legionary figures and the one US Ranger sometime towards the end of the week, and some other bits and pieces. So look after yourselves, guys. I really thank you for the positive comments that you've made on this these Vietnam videos. It's really appreciated. As I say, I paint all my figures in respectful memory, and I don't know, I'm not educated, I don't know the words to put in it, a lot of these guys didn't come back, and if they did come back, they came back in pieces sometimes, and I've got, as one veteran to all the other veterans out there, I've got utmost respect for what you've achieved. It's and these figures are just my way of showing appreciation, I suppose, in one sense, an enjoyment of, as I say, when you say I enjoy painting the Vietnam War, it's meant, it's not meant in disrespectful, and the guys at War Game, these type of things, it's not meant in any way disrespectful. As I say, I'm humbled by the courage and the tenacity of the United States Marine Corps that fought through Hue. They're, absolute lions. Right, guys, look after yourselves, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.